Hey everyone, welcome to my show and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about the topic of open relationships. I'm aware that this is a very triggering conversation for some, but we're going to have it anyway. Just to let you know the order of the video, I'm going to let you know what the bulletin points are. So, first, we're going to get the definition of open relationship according to Google or Wikipedia. Then, I am going to tell you guys what my perception is of an open relationship and a monogamous relationship. Then we'll discuss why I resonate with open relationships, why I do not resonate with monogamy. We are going to challenge monogamy next. We're going to question the reality of lifetime monogamy. Then we're going to discuss some of the actions or practices that contradict the possibility of successful monogamy. Then, of course, I'm going to draw my conclusion or come to a closing point, and then I always try to give like a possible solution or just add some balance to the game. Okay, so first, let's read the definition of an open relationship according to Wikipedia. An open relationship, also known as non-exclusive relationship, is an intimate relationship that is sexually non-monogamous. The term may refer to polyamory, but generally indicates a relationship where there is a primary emotional and intimate relationship between two partners, primary, who agrees to at least the possibility. I want you guys to keep that word in the back of your head. Who agrees to at least the possibility of intimacy with other people. Open relationships include any type of romantic relationship, dating, marriage, etc. that is open. The concept of an open relationship has been recognized since 1970s, blah, 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 blah. So that's Wikipedia's definition. Like I said, I always like to start with logic because sometimes when we hear triggering terms or triggering words, we kind of tend to shut down from the logical part of our brain and we go straight to emotion and we go straight to experiences that we're attached to. So that's the definition. Now I'm going to give you guys my perception of an open relationship and monogamy. I'll start with monogamy. I think we can agree that the majority of people that have monogamous relationships think of it all the same way. It's a very strict and straightforward type of relationship that has a lot of rules, restrictions, and confinements, including not flirting with people of the opposite sex, not being too witty with people of the other sex, absolutely no sexual or intimate relations with anyone outside of the relationship. What else can I think about when I think about monogamy? Some people even go as extreme as not allowing their mate to have friends, platonic friends of the opposite sex. So that's monogamy. My perception of an open relationship is, first of all, let me just say a lot of people think that open relationship and swinging are the same thing. It's completely different. Swinging is very specific. That is when a couple of two people come together with another couple of two people and they have intercourse together in the same room. And it can be two couples and it can be multiple couples all in one room having an intimate, having sexual experiences. That is not what an open relationship is, at least in my perception. In my perception, an open relationship does not start with sex. For me, an open relationship starts with just the ability and the free will to be able to connect with other people on a basic level, whether it's just being witty, whether it's having friends of the opposite sex, whether it is just simply flirting with someone of the opposite sex with no intent on actually, having any kind of intercourse with them. And last but not least, yes, it does leave open the possibility for the male or the female in the relationship to have intimate and sexual experiences with other people. Now, let me say that in open relationships, at least most of the open relationships I know, they usually play out like monogamy. Hence why in the definition on Wikipedia, it said a primary emotional and intimate relationship between two partners who agree to at least the possibility. Okay? So just so you know, it typically plays out like monogamy. There is a primary relationship, there's a primary bond, and people are open to, it can be within that few months, it can be within a year, it could be within 5 years, 7 years. It may not even happen until 10 years that anyone within a relationship even acts upon having that intimate sexual relationship with someone else. So a lot of people think it's just sex, and sometimes it just plays out like monogamy, and yeah. So that's my perception of an open relationship, just giving people the free will to be able to communicate and or be intimate with the opposite sex outside of the primary relationship. Okay, so the next bulletin point is, why do I resonate with open relationships? I resonate. I'll give an example. I am from a mixed culture, so I was raised around Black American people, which is half of my heritage, and I was raised around Caribbean, to be specific, Trinidadian, and Jamaicans, which Trinidad is. So let's say, for instance, I'm dating a Jamaican or a Trinidadian, right? Or any Caribbean guy, and then I run into the friend that I grew up with, and my Caribbean, Jamaican, Trinidadian, whatever boyfriend or mate he's not going to be able to connect with me as far as some things I grew up with culturally. Like literally my life was split. Like in the daytime, I would be hanging out with Black American, gang affiliated, Black American hood niggas. Like that was, my best friends, my childhood best friends block, where she lived, and that's where I hung out. But then at night we would go to dance hall parties. You know what I mean? Like that was my life. And when my family had an event, it would be soca and calypso playing. So my Trinidadian, Jamaican, whatever Caribbean boyfriend I may not be able to connect with him on some levels about some of the ratchet shit or music or whatever we used to listen to or do. And you can't connect to that kind of lifestyle because you simply haven't lived, that lifestyle. You wouldn't be, I can never have that, those conversations with you in a way that you understand. And in reverse, if I'm dating a Black American man and I run into one of my homeboys from back, one of the guys that I used to dance with, in dance hall or whatever like that, or I meet a new guy that's Jamaican or Trinidadian or whatever, my Black American boyfriend is not going to be able to relate to those experiences we had growing up. Like if I'm talking about, he might know some reggae stuff, but he's not going to know like Beres Hammond songs. He's not going to know like Sizzler songs, like it's just certain cultural stuff that person is not going to know. And within the confinements of monogamy, I simply cannot have friends and connections and hang out and kick it with people of the opposite sex, because in monogamy it's like you're my lady, you're my girl, what are you doing in another man's face, regardless of what's not happening or regardless of what connection we had growing up, that's all off limits. Also, I can't, be in the club as a grown woman and just flirting with a guy just on some, he's cute, he's talking his shit, I'm cute, I'm talking my shit, and I have absolutely no intention on sleeping with you. I'm not even really physically attracted to you to that level, but I'm just having a moment here. You're not able to do that within the confinements of monogamy without getting in trouble. And then you do have the intimacy part where it could be 5 months, it could be 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 9, 10, 15 years down the line, I decide or my mate decides that we want to have an intimate experience or some kind of relationship with someone else. We're not able to do that because of monogamy. And and for me, I'm just like being realistic. I'm like, after I have intercourse with you a certain amount of years, I'm gonna know exactly what you're gonna do. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna pretty much know your patterns. I'm gonna know that you love back shots, so you probably gonna do that first, and from there you probably gonna lay me on my stomach. You gonna try to do it that way, and then I know next, you probably gonna turn me around, put my legs on your shoulders. Like, you just, after a while, like, you just kind of, there's like a familiarity, unless you like a straight freak, and y'all always gonna be doing different, like, so much different things and playing with so much different toys. Okay, if that's your thing, then I could see people saying, no, it's not going to get boring. And it's not even about it getting boring, but it's like there's other experiences to be had, and it doesn't have to happen often, and it may never happen. But not only for myself, but I want my partner to have the free will and that excitement about life. Like, if if he really, really finds another female attractive, and I'm not talking about dating nobody that's just out there, he gonna be like, oh, this chick is attractive, I just want to fuck her, and that's that. Like, obviously, well, you guys don't know me, but the type of mate that I would ideally have would be one that has respect of their body, knowing that you don't want to catch anything, knowing that you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings or mislead anyone. So if my mate does that, or if I do that, I would think that I'm with somebody, and I'm the type of person that will only do it if we really have a connection with somebody. Or it could be like, we're on a trip, we're somewhere in Hawaii, and there's like this Miguel caramel looking type, and how often am I going to be in Hawaii or the Philippines or whatever, and I may want to have an experience with that person, and it may not even be full-blown sex. It may literally just be, I want to share an intimate kiss with this person, and my mate might want to do that. And like I said, for me, it's just about like the vibrance of life. Like, I still just want you to always be like at your highest point of like happiness and joy and vibrance and fun. And it may even add some sauce to your intimate life, because that person is able to like kind of feed off of somebody else and just kind of get that vibrance back and bring it back to you. You never know. Okay. So the reasons why I do not resonate with monogamy is all the reasons why I resonate with an open relationship. It's just too much confinement. And I don't think that it's, for the most part, I don't think it's natural. And I don't like to use the word natural, because I do try to talk logic for the most part. So I don't want to say natural, but I don't think it's not commonly realistic for monogamy to work and be a real thing. Okay, the next bulletin point is challenging monogamy. Okay, cool. So the question I ask is, what is monogamous in life? How many people do you know have one friend? Like, oh, I have one friend, and every time I want to go out, whether it's to a club or whether it's to a museum or whether it's to a street festival or whether it's skydiving, I want to do this with the same friend. That one friend, the only friend. No, nobody does, because you have different friends for that come with different vibes and different purposes. You can't jump off a plane with the same friend that you may, I don't know, go to church with or go to a open mic with. You just don't. And family members, you don't have one favorite family member, or there's only one family member that you want to be around on Thanksgiving. It's just you and that family member. Like, no, you feed off of different experiences with different people, different places, different things. So yes, even like your favorite dish. I don't care what your favorite two dishes are in life, whether it's mac and cheese and barbecue chicken and rice and peas and curry shrimp. Like, you wouldn't want to eat that every day. You just would not. Like, so to look at everything else in life that's not monogamous, even from the, like, even when you go into animal life, there's really any animals that are monogamous. Like, there are some, just kind of like in this world, there are some relationships that really wrote it out that's been completely monogamous, but there are very few. So it's like, why do we make like the exception to the rule the rule? Is and I understand why. I'm not saying I don't understand why, because I thought that way for majority of my life. Like, like I didn't think about it logically. I didn't think about it realistically. But what else in life is monogamous? Like what? And I had one guy, I asked him, there's nothing, I was like, there's nothing you'll eat every day for the rest of your life that you'll never get tired of. And he said a peppermint. And he kind of challenged me there, because I was like, you know what? I never actually like fully got tired of peppermints. I mean, there was a time now that obviously I may not have wanted a peppermint like that. I prefer a different candy at the time, but a peppermint is not something that's nasty where you'll be like, I don't want it, but you might not actually really want it or want it at all, if that makes sense. So, but then I challenged him, because as I thought about it, I'm like, okay, even if you want a peppermint every day for the rest of your life, do you only want a peppermint every day for the rest of your life? And that means that you cannot have any other candy, and that includes chocolate. That means you can't even have a puff mint. You cannot have a candy cane. It has to be that same circle hard peppermint and no other kind of candy. So yeah. The next bulletin point that I'm going to be challenging is the actions or practices that contradict the possibility of successful monogamy. So this reminds me of a conversation I had with one guy. The conversation was going great. I was telling him about my bountiful, plentiful guidelines that I have when it comes to relating with men. And I don't say dating, because I make it very clear, if I meet a guy, we are not dating. Like, there's no way that I can meet you, I mean, in my adult life with what I know now, to make the same mistakes we made when we were younger. And that's just meeting someone and they're attractive and you're attractive and you automatically say we're dating. Like, that's weird to me at this point in my life. Like, I don't know anything about you other than you look good. You know what I mean? That you look good enough for me to like be in your presence, and that's not enough. So anyway, I was telling him my guidelines of how I move, in this world with men. Certain things like never going to their house if we're not in a relationship, and not hanging out with them at night, things like that. Yeah, we have a good conversation. Then when we got to the open relationship part, and we were talking about, I was saying it's not just about sex. Sometimes it's literally about wanting to have friends of the opposite sex, which in monogamy is not really accepted in a lot of monogamous relationships, right? And he was like, and he was gung-ho about monogamy, and he had the nerve to say, well, I can't be friends. He was like, well, you know that if a guy tries to talk to you, like, I got your number, it's because I'm attracted to you. And I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't mean that I know that you got my number because you're attracted to me, but that doesn't mean for me that I can't pursue this as a friendship, because I like meeting different people. So I'll give you my number and not be attracted to you as a man if I feel like we could kick it on a certain kind of level, like talk about certain things. And he was like, he was like, to be honest with you, I can't have a female friend. Like, I don't have any female friends. And I'm like, this is the same guy that is completely gung-ho about monogamy, and you haven't even strengthened the muscle of what it takes to be monogamous. And that's something as simple as being able to have friends of the opposite sex, because at some point in this forever, ever, ever monogamy that y'all talk about, whether it's in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, 25, 30. Shit, I'm getting tired of counting, and y'all want to be together for that long. Okay. That you think that you're not going to meet another female outside of your relationship, that you just have maybe like good conversation with, certain shit that your girlfriend or your wife y'all just can't relate to. And then when you do meet this kind of female, guess what? First, it might start off as a conversation. And then when y'all have those conversations and y'all start kicking it, and then you're going to realize, damn, like I actually want to be intimate with somebody that I really F with. And then you end up cheating on your girlfriend or your wife, and then you act like you don't know why it happened or how it happened. Monogamy, I feel like monogamy is like a muscle that you have to strengthen. It's like you're a skinny person or a fat person and you have no muscles. Monogamy is like being a bodybuilder. That's something that you have to work up to and strengthen yourself on. And a lot of women are going to get triggered, but a lot of you hoes have never been celibate or abstain from sex for at least 2 years in your entire life. So all these options that these men have to not be monogamous, you are a part of that option pool, because you're not creating any kind of environment where a man has to strengthen the muscle of not fucking. You know what I mean? Of not messing with someone because he's physically attracted to them. So then you think, okay, you're just going to get in a relationship with this person and he's going to be monogamous for the rest of you guys' life, and you think you're going to be monogamous for the rest of your life. But a lot of women are not saying that. It's not just men that step out. Women are stepping out too, but they would never say it. They would never say it. So now the numbers look so skewed, and it is skewed. Let's keep it real. Like, majority of the relationships, you know, that broke up is because a nigga done did some dumb shit. But women are doing it in large numbers too. So now you're saying you expect you and your mate to be together for 10, 15, 17, 20, 25, 27, 30, 35, 37, 40 years, and none of you guys are going to step out? Because that's what monogamy is. Let's be real about what we're saying monogamy is. None of the two of you guys are going to step out. Really? Y'all believe that? Okay. None of you guys have strengthened the muscle of what it takes to even be monogamous. You guys haven't even strengthened the muscle of your mind to really think about, like how I'm really thinking about, what does it look like to do this for that long? What does it look like to not be able to experience anyone else in any capacity of the opposite sex for that long? That means flirting, being witty, having friends, maybe even bumping and grinding in the club, just here and there. You know, like I said, my family is of Caribbean descent, so we're trendy. Like, we go to carnival, we dance on any man that come behind us and woman. That's just the culture. And it's like, being a monogamy is kind of like a lot of that too. You have to cut off that part of you because you're in this kind of relationship. So are you guys strengthening the muscle of monogamy? So just to draw a clear conclusion and a closing point, I do not believe that the exception to the rule should be the rule. And the exception to the rule is a couple that is actually both successfully in a monogamous relationship for the rest of their life, meaning none of them stepped out. And I don't think that for the most part it's natural, based on just looking at everything else in life that requires you to have multiple connections or multiple streams of income or multiple networking, circles, or multiple anything. I just don't see it being the way for the majority of people. And I also don't think that women should play the victim when we end up in a relationship and we thought we were in a monogamous relationship and it wasn't, because who's been really actually practicing even like abstaining from sex? Like, nobody. Let me not say nobody, that's ignorant. I do check myself. But you get the point. Okay, and in closing, I always try to give a possible solution. Giving a solution to this is funny because, it's really up to the person. But what I will say is, I think it's really important to ask very detailed questions to your mate. And I'm not talking about surface questions. And when you ask those questions, I think you should challenge those questions as well. And if you're dating someone that gets defensive when you are challenging stuff and you let them know, listen, I'm just asking you a lot of questions because I really want to know who I'm getting into a long-term relationship with, then that should be a red flag if they get defensive. But most likely they probably will because it seems like interrogation. So I suggest that new couples go to some kind of relationship counseling if you're thinking about monogamy, or at least meet with some kind of elder or mentor and have them cross question you guys, because sometimes people's answers and people's demeanor change when other people are around. That's definitely worth making a note of. Let's see what else. I think a relationship survey is dope, like literally having like something that you bring to the table where you have to fill it out, that person has to fill it out, and then you guys can really see what your past looked like. Because if that person has been in 3 or 2 long-term or serious relationships, and honestly they've never been successfully monogamous, which this would mostly be on the man's part, women, you need to really look at what is the probability that that person is actually going to be successful in monogamy with you. And if that person does step out, is it completely done? Absolutely. There's no chance you would ever sleep with that person again, be with that person again. Because if your answer is you may give them another chance depending on your finances, depending on how much children you have, which is realistic things, then technically you are open to an open relationship because that person stepped out, had an experience, and now they're coming back in. So yeah, I hope that this conversation really brought some good thinking points to a lot of people, and I hope that we start to be more realistic about what we think we want in life, in relationships. And yeah, and I really just hope that we evolve. And I'm not saying that open relationships is necessarily being evolved, because if you're not doing that properly, then you're not then you're not really evolved anyway. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Feel free to share this video if you know anybody that may like this conversation. Always drop a comment, and like I said, please be respectful in the comments. And if you are trying to counteract, please quote exactly what I said and what you're countering, because I don't deal with just emotion and someone just coming from their feelings and just their experience. Like, it needs to make sense, because emotions, at the end of the day, emotions doesn't pay our bills. Emotions never made a successful relationship. People being more logical is, how things get done. So yeah, thank you again. Comment, like, feel free to subscribe so you can get notifications about future videos. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Peace.
The devil is a motherfucking liar. So you know I ain't worried. Biatch.